KUAM News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust, serving Micronesia since 1938. Matson and the Adahi Itano program. Cars Plus, drive home in a brand new 2021 Hyundai Palisade equipped with Guam's only lifetime powertrain limited warranty. Call 477-7807 or visit carsplusguam.com. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it, and King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
Coming up on Primetime, following a fatal shooting on Isangsong Road up in Dedido, a 37-year-old man is behind bars and has been charged. Plus, we take you to court for our continuing coverage of the trial of Joshua Palacios. And tonight, news you need to know about changes to the federal initiative for pandemic unemployment assistance.
Hafa day and good evening, I'm Adriana Cotero. An argument between friends led to a shot in the back and ultimately the death of a 40-year-old man. A magistrate's complaint charges 37-year-old Larry James Gagin with murder in the first degree with a special allegation of possession and use of a deadly weapon in the commission of a felony and possession of a firearms without a valid firearms ID. Our Peter Santos reports.
Friendship turned fatal. On January 24th, the Guam Police Department responded to a makeshift structure located off of Isangsong Road after hearing reports of a shooting. GPD spokesperson Sergeant Paul Tapao.
Now, through the course of our officers being there, they discovered a 40-year-old man who required immediate medical treatment and care. He was thus transported to the Guam Regional Medical City for treatment and care. Unfortunately, the 40-year-old man had later succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced deceased. So our detectives from the Guam Police Department's Criminal Investigation Division, they were activated to assume the case. Relative to this incident, at which time they learned of a person of interest. He was later identified as a 37-year-old Larry James Gagin. He was brought in to the GPD headquarters where he was questioned relative to the incident.
According to court documents, the 40-year-old victim was identified as Jerick Unchanko. It was noted that Unchanko and Gagin were close friends, with Gagin giving him a place to stay after becoming homeless about a year ago. A day before the shooting, the two allegedly got into an altercation but were separated to calm down. When Unchanko arrived to the residence the next day, an argument ensued between Unchanko and Gagin's wife, sister-in-law, and an undescribed guest. As the argument escalated, Gagin suddenly appeared behind Unchanko and shot him in the back with a .22 caliber pistol. With this case being the second murder case occurring within a week's time, Tapao says it's the effort at every level of the department that has allowed them to catch those allegedly responsible.
The work that's put in from the patrol level, whether it be at the Central Precinct Command, the Southern Precinct Command, or the Dedido Precinct Command, there's that streamline of passing the ball to where there's no flaw, that the information sharing and the information gathered is going to be received by our detectives. So our detectives take the ball and they run with it, and they're able to use the information that was obtained through the preliminary state of the investigation, which boils down to the patrol level and the work that patrol has been putting in.
Gagin faces murder in the first degree with a special allegation of possession and use of a deadly weapon in the commission of a felony, and possession of a firearm without a valid firearms ID. He appeared before Magistrate Judge Jonathan Kwan Tuesday afternoon. However, the hearing was continued. Both the Public Defender Service Corporation and the alternate Public Service Defender Corporation withdrew from the case due to conflict. The court has appointed defense counsel Samuel Tecker to represent the defendant. He will reappear in court Wednesday at 3 p.m. The government has requested that Gagin remain detained. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Peter Santos.
Matt Sablan's parents' house in Jigo is the crime scene of where Keith Castro was brutally attacked, beaten, and shot to his death on July 28, 2019. This afternoon, Sablan returns on the witness stand in murder defendant Joshua Palacios' trial. Palacios is accused for pulling the deadly trigger, and unlike other government witnesses, Sablan was able to recall specific details when questioned by defense counsel Tom Fisher, which contradict prior government witness testimonies.
When Mossy and the shooter arrived at the house, your house, it appeared to you that the shooter was egging Mossy on. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Describe that, please. What it was you saw.
I saw and I heard him say, "Keep on, Moss, keep on."
He actually said Moss?
Yes.
Okay, so was it your impression then, sir, that the shooter knew Mossy?
Yes.
Was it your impression, sir, that Mossy and the shooter were working together?
Yes.
As we reported, co-character in the case Thomas Titano, also known as Mossy, pled guilty to aggravated assault for striking Castro with a baton. Mossy testified he went to Sablan's house to confront Castro for talking about his family on social media. However, he claimed he did not have a weapon in hand during the altercation. Sablan testified he saw Mossy strike Castro with a baton several times. Attorney Fisher asked Sablan to draw an outline of his residence and provide a play-by-play of the incident.
When you took the left, what did you do?
I ran and I pushed Tomas off.
At that time that you pushed Tomas off Keith, where was Keith? Okay, let me clear. Sorry about that, sir. Was he seated or standing?
He was more crouched over.
Okay. Could you illustrate with your own body what it was you saw? All right. Now, Your Honor, the gentleman has just gone into essentially a full squat and raised his left and right hand in a blocking motion to cover his face.
Sablan identified Palacios as the shooter and testified that the gun went off during the fight. Trial continues tomorrow afternoon. In Superior Court, Judge Arthur Barcinas' courtroom, Natasha Peters has entered a plea agreement with the government. The defendant will fully cooperate with prosecutors by testifying against her husband, Dwayne Peters. The couple was arrested for sexually assaulting a minor known to them. Natasha pled guilty to criminal facilitation of first-degree criminal sexual conduct as a third-degree felony. According to the Office of the Attorney General, if Natasha does not fully cooperate, she faces 3 years in jail. She is accused of allowing Dwayne to sexually abuse the minor for many years. The court has since severed the couple's cases. The OAG adds that the victim has been involved in each step of the criminal justice process, including proposed plea terms and trial preparation, including the victim's ability to testify. Another person from Guam died of COVID-19, bringing the total number that has passed away to 129. He was a 50-year-old man with underlying health conditions who was admitted to the Guam Memorial Hospital on December 22nd. According to the Joint Information Center, he died early Monday morning, just after 2 o'clock. After the Vaccination and Antiviral Prioritization Policy Committee's meeting yesterday, there's still no clear resolution on how homebound Manamkus will receive their COVID vaccine. After our village mayors provided a priority list of homebound individuals to public health, it's been found that a total of over 2,000 people are in need of service. According to DPHSS PIO Janela Carrera, in total there are over 19,000 in the 60-plus and older population alone, and only 17% have been vaccinated. Meanwhile, a little over 80% of those 75 and older have already received the first dose of the vaccine.
We're continuing discussions and having meetings with our village mayors and key stakeholders in the community who could, of course, assist us with that. So one of the ideas is kind of having like these mini vaccination clinics where we'll set up maybe perhaps like at a senior center in the different villages and busing some of our seniors and taking them to the senior centers and maybe at different hours of a day and then vaccinating them there, as opposed to a large clinic like this at Ukidu High School. And that way, it's more of a coordinated effort. And these are for those who have registered for homebound vaccination.
The mini clinics are intended for those homebound individuals that do not have mobility, such as through wheelchairs. However, this course of action is still in development. An issue that both DPHSS, village mayors, and homebound individuals are faced with is what is being classified as homebound.
In terms of homebound is those who are bedbound, bedridden, really can't get out of bed, need 24-hour round-the-clock care. And it takes maybe 4 or 5 people to care for them, that do it in shifts. Those are the ones that we really want to prioritize for the homebound, bedbound vaccination.
However, according to PD Mayor and Mayor's Council of Guam President Jesse Alec, it wasn't until after the mayors provided their priority list to public health that they were given clearer guidelines as to who would qualify. He adds that DPHSS will begin vaccinating Jotnia homebound individuals tomorrow. The selection was done through a lottery system. President Biden is looking to give U.S. manufacturers a boost to help stimulate the economy during the coronavirus pandemic, while conversations with Congress are ongoing about a new massive relief package. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
President Biden signed an executive order to help ensure federal agencies buy more goods and services from U.S. companies.
We can never again be in a position we have to rely on a foreign country that doesn't share our interest in order to protect our people during a national emergency. We need to make our own protective equipment, essential products and supplies.
The president's action seeks to close loopholes, updating how much of a product needs to be produced domestically for it to be considered made in America. The announcement comes as the administration is ramping up efforts on several fronts to combat the pandemic. Top White House aides met virtually with a bipartisan group of senators Sunday to discuss Mr. Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan.
Time is of the essence. And I must tell you, I'm reluctant to cherry pick and take out one or two items here and then have to go through it again.
Some senators want more details and say their top priority is distributing the vaccine quickly.
President Biden remains focused on his goal of 100 million vaccinations in the first 100 days of his presidency, but it's unclear how many vaccine doses are in the federal supply.
I think we may be able to get that to 1.5 million a day rather than 1 million a day.
As the virus continues to mutate, the Biden administration also announced plans to reinstate a travel ban on more than 24 European countries and Brazil and add a new ban on South Africa. Under the new restrictions, all international travelers must provide proof of a negative COVID test within 3 days of traveling to the U.S.
Coming up on Primetime, we get a preview of what will be discussed at tonight's Guam Education Board meeting. And still to come, details on a project that will help budding craftsmen and women within the villages. You're watching KUAM.
We get it. Living to the fullest is tough during COVID-19. You don't need to do it alone, and everyone needs a hand right now. We are here. Feeling overwhelmed? Call 647-8833 and let's talk. Mangagihem is a project of Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center.
Social distancing may be the new norm, but connection will always be our tradition. Through good times and tough times, we remain connected with you. Masks may be the new fashion, but protection will always be our style. You can always count on us to protect the things that matter the most. Sanitizing may be the new routine, but caring will always be our practice. We care about your loved ones and the things you value the most. And as we welcome our new normal, one thing remains certain: we will always be here for you. We're open and ready to serve you. Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust.
It makes myself and it makes my team members very proud to work for an organization that has been on island for many years with its focus on reliability, dependability, and commitment to the communities that they operate in.
Matson's a great corporate citizen to the community.
We all benefit from any sort of environmental commitment we make. One of the ways that we do that is with our Adahi Utano program. There's action behind it, and so action breeds commitment.
With the Kaimana Hila coming to Guam, this brings a new age and modernization to the island.
It's exciting for me because it's a brand new ship and we can carry more freight into the islands. It just shows growth for Guam and Micronesia.
Matson would be nothing without its customers, and we hope to continue to serve you for decades to come.
KUAM News, winner of the 2020 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Social Media.
Welcome back. The good news is claimants working reduced hours who received federal unemployment payments in the first round won't have to pay the money back. The bad news is there's still no fix yet that allows them to start filing claims again. But as Nestor Lecanto reports, officials are actively working on it.
Under guidance released in late December, the U.S. Labor Department said only those who are fully unemployed as a result of the health crisis are entitled to pandemic unemployment assistance. That apparently was news to many states, including Guam, who believe those with reduced hours also qualified. Labor Director David De La Sola says USDOL admits it may not have been clear enough, so repayment will not be required.
My understanding that moving forward, as long as we change and notify, then everything will be fine. They recognize, like I said, that it wasn't anything intentional. It was something that was overlooked.
And while reduced hour workers are ineligible for now, there are indications of high-ranking support in Congress for a fix. De La Sola says New York Senator Chuck Schumer was the co-author of an amendment to the PUA law in September to include the group. Schumer is now the Senate Majority Leader.
It allows businesses not only that are closed, but also reduced in hours, staff, or capacity to be eligible for PUA. And that language covers everything. It went to finance, but it didn't get it out, and it wasn't voted on. So Congress does have a fix. They do realize that it's there. It just didn't get carried on. And then with the new PUA that came out at the end of the year, they either missed it or didn't want to put it in, but there is a fix, an amendment that's there.
He says the U.S. Labor Director would also have the authority to add reduced hour workers, but that may also take a little more time as a new secretary still needs to be confirmed.
It's their program, and they make the rules, and they can change the rules. They can make the adjustments to the rules. I'm just trying to keep getting it out, the money out to the public, and run it well.
For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Thank you, Nestor. It's about that time of the year again when the executive branch is mandated to submit its budget to the legislature. Although the Bureau of Budget Management and Research has until Sunday to finalize the proposed FY 2022 spending plan. DOA Director Edward Burns says the numbers likely won't look good as the current fiscal year budget is facing an estimated $30 million shortfall.
Obviously, we have both the executive and the legislature have a responsibility and indeed a statutory authority to present a balanced budget. So if revenues are down, clearly there's going to be some reduction or at least stabilization of expenditures. All departments obviously feel that they deserve to be better funded. Without a doubt, any department, including DOE, could easily spend a whole lot more money improving facilities or improving processes. But unfortunately, there's also been some pressure from the legislature to reduce gross receipts tax. And of course, that also doesn't obviously point in the direction of increasing budgetary amounts to anybody.
According to Byrne, BBMR has until Sunday to submit the proposed FY 2022 budget to the legislature. He adds what helped the government survive up to this point was federal funding from the CARES Act, of which all $117 million has already been expended. Also working on their budget, the Guam Education Board met this afternoon to discuss the proposed FY 2022 budget for the government's largest agency, GDOE. According to GEB Vice Chair Mary Okada, the spending plan they will be submitting will focus on two major categories: operations and capital improvement projects.
We want to ensure that the board wants to ensure that the 14 points are addressed in the budget, that the health and safety are addressed in the budget. And so these are, major components when the budget was being built as to what is needed to successfully support the Guam Department of Education in its operations. And secondly, how do you support the overwhelming capital improvement projects that are necessary to ensure the safety of the students?
The budget is due to the legislature this weekend. As we reported for GDOE's current fiscal year budget, it was cut by $15 million. There appears to be growing support to delay the 50-cent minimum wage increase. Testimony Monday at a legislative hearing on Senator Jim Moylan's bill to postpone the rate hike for 1 year drew widespread positive testimony. Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce Representative Jane Flores summed it up on the link.
Employees against businesses, because if you heard some of the testimony yesterday from small businesses, and we actually had a minimum wage employee yesterday testify, and he said, I'm in favor of the pause because yes, while I want more money in my paycheck, as do most people, he said, I also want a job.
Moylan says the impact will be felt more by small businesses who need more time to recover from the impact of the COVID pandemic. He's pushing to get his bill passed ahead of a fast approaching implementation date.
We need to have this session heard on session floor, this bill heard on session floor in February. To meet the deadline of March 1st, which is the next tier increment, just to delay it. So at this speed, I think we can have a public hearing, bring it to session floor and we can vote on it with the legislatures. And I believe we have the momentum to show that this bill will pass.
Flores says she can't speak for what the governor might do, but she expects she'll take all information into consideration in making her decision. New CDC guidelines requiring a negative COVID test within 3 days before entering the U.S., including Guam, is now in effect. Airlines are mandated to deny boarding of passengers if they do not provide documentation of the negative result or choose not to take a test. We should note that although there is no testing requirement if you are transiting via Hawaii, any transits to or from the U.S. via Japan will require the 3-day pre-arrival negative COVID test results. According to Physicians Advisory Group Chairperson Dr. Hao Wen, they are still consulting with government officials to ensure they understand that Japan, specifically Narita, is a big transit point for Guam customers. The PAWS Act, or the Protecting Animal Welfare and Safety Act, is now law. Also referred to as PUGA's Law, it increased civil liabilities and criminal sentences and creates new criminal charges related to animal cruelty. Buried deep into the new law, there's a provision by Senator Pito Terlahi that officially recognizes cockfighting as a cultural practice. In 2018, President Trump signed the Farm Bill into law banning cockfighting in the U.S., including territories. The PAWS Act was introduced by Senator Sabina Perez. Local craftsmen and women, here's some news to look forward to. President of the Mayor's Council of Guam, Jesse Alex, says village mayors will be setting up a project aimed at helping the little guys make a big impact on their communities.
As we all search for ways to bring our island out of the mess created by the coronavirus pandemic, village mayors have been at work on a project they say will bring jobs, opportunities, and an overall sense of community in each village. President of the Mayor's Council of Guam, Jesse Alec.
The GUMA project that we're working on, it's Guam Unique Merchandise and Arts. And so that nonprofit is actually helping us, and I'm really excited about it.
Alex says the intent of the project is to develop community commerce, leaving out the dedicated facilities and bringing merchandise and the arts back home. And most mayors seem to be on board.
I'm excited about it. We had majority of the mayors attend our organizational meeting, if you would consider that, last week. And most are on board with creating this sort of cottage business within the communities. And so, that will not only provide jobs for our people, but it'll, definitely bring out all the homemade bakers, the home farmer, the craftsmen that we have out there.
With many in the community out of work or placed on reduced hours, this could be a new opportunity, according to Alec.
We know that there's a lot of unemployment now and those that are underemployed, but they all have skills and crafts, and we want to hopefully, get them out to either begin a process of business or actually, enhance their current business or their current trade so that they're profitable, and in turn the communities will be profitable, and we'll all, it'll work out for everyone.
Alex says village mayors will be meeting in the next few weeks to hammer out the details and strategize the best way they can roll this project out. For Guam's News Network, I'm Peter Santos.
Thank you, Peter. And coming up, a look at regional headlines from Saipan. You're watching KUAM.
Your community calendar is brought to you by Taco Bell. Whether it's your first meal or your fourth meal, we've got you covered. Taco Bell, live Más.
So long, nacho fries.
Whenever Taco Bell takes them off the menu, he can't escape the cravings. Nacho fries.
Escape your cravings with our nacho fries box. Run to Taco Bell.
Guam is truly a majestic place with its sheer natural beauty, wealth of beaches, and culturally rich landscape. Unfortunately, Guam has a real problem with unwanted invasive species. Help us in preventing their introduction and spread. The coconut rhinoceros beetle, the little fire ant, the African snail, Siam weed. These are just a few of the numerous invasives on Guam. Follow proper custom procedures when bringing plants and animals into Guam.
Help protect Guam. Tell your family and friends about invasive species.
To report invasive species, call 475-PEST.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
With regional headlines, here's KSPN 2 News.
Hafa-Day Guam, here are the headlines for CNMI.
U.S. District Court Judge Mona Manglonia found IPI and its chairwoman, Lee Ji Kui, to be in contempt for violation of a consent decree linked to non-payment of wages. Workers were not supposed to be working under that decree, but that order was rescinded by IPI, and work has in recent months continued, and at the same time paychecks have been withheld or bounced. Company is in a cash crunch and has a number of creditors seeking payment. Company has a number of workers still on island, staying at various places and various levels of decay. Trash service has been stopped, power shut off, and water service shut off. Workers from Italy, from Turkey, from Mongolia, and from Taiwan all have reported feeling stranded. There's also been financial disputes with a number of contractors. Kui is one of the principal shareholders of IPI and has been here in Saipan since just prior to the pandemic. She sat in court yesterday next to a translator during the hearing. Kui appeared with her new personal attorney, Juan Lizama.
Has she seen the worker conditions? Has she seen what the barracks look like? Does she know what it's like to have power and water off?
I can't say that she has seen it or has not seen it. But, this is a small island and, and the thing is, she's just the CEO. She's not the operation, person. Poor lady, she doesn't speak English and she's a nice lady. Seems like she's willing to listen now, which is, I'm happy that because, if you want a good client, I have a good client now.
U.S. Department of Labor appeared by video and asked for the contempt motion to be granted. IPI owes a couple of $1 million in unpaid wages directly to workers, but millions, perhaps tens of millions more, in licensing fees, judgments, and other obligations. Company originally touted a $7 billion investment and purchased lots of property, but since an initial splash has gone through many changes in leadership and direction. Judge Manglonia ordered all work on the construction project to cease for a week and told the company that resumption will be based on payment of back wages and restoring power and water and food to employees who are here because of IPI. Many of those workers will have visas that expire in the coming days, and they will need to be repatriated. Glenn Bell, a former contractor who has lived at Vescor, says the power and water there still an issue.
Yesterday we lost water again. And it was restored. We found where the issue was. The power is still off. The generator hasn't been functioning now for about 3 weeks. It's just a shame that it has to get to a threat of jail time before an obligation or a previous commitment is honoured. I think that's the sad part, I think.
IPI has also gone through a number of attorneys, many who have dropped out after not being paid. Lizama says he represents the chairwoman, but not the company, and she has been asked to report back next Thursday with results.
I'll be here for next week to see that no further, contempt order to be brought, to be filed. And
did you get a retainer?
That's confidential information. That's with confident. That's attorney-client, matter. So I can't answer that. But yeah, I'm happy to represent her. I'm happy also to represent her. I'm not representing. And again, I want to make it clear. I'm only involved in her representation, in her, not in the company. Because that's important to decipher that difference.
Previous CEO Don Brown was discharged from the case yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, IPI was handing out checks here at the bottom of Capitol Hill. This is the Mongolian team, and workers say they received 4 of their 8 paychecks.
For more news, visit saipantv.com. For KSPN2, I'm Ashley McDowell.
Don't go away, your birthday shoutouts when we return.
We rely on each other to be there in the good and bad times.
Parents rely on me for making sure that their kids are always in the best of their health.
The community relies on me when emergencies strike.
My students rely on me to move them higher in what they're learning.
Our kids rely on us to provide them with all the support they need.
For keeping us in touch every day,
for every call and schedule I receive, and for every emergency I respond to.
And with my need to respond in the timeliest manner,
to keep my knowledge updated.
For keeping us connected every day, we only rely on Docomo Pacific.
And before we close out the news tonight, our latest round of birthday shoutouts from the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club.
Happy Tuesday birthday to Aliana Tori Cruz. Your birthday shoutout is quite simply, happy birthday, Aliana. Hey, that is all it takes. We hope you have a great day. Also, happy birthday to Ian Regis. Happy birthday to my grandson, your shoutout says. And Rihanna Sue Cruz gets birthday love. Happy birthday to our Rihanna Banana. We hope you enjoy your special day. So, Rihanna Banana, Ian and Aliana, we hope each of you have the best birthday ever. Stay safe, stay happy, and have a great, great day.
Remember, you can be part of the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club by registering online on KUAM.com. That's going to do it for us here on Primetime. Thank you for watching. Have a good night and be safe.